The gang's all back together here on this Mailbag Monday, live from the Xfinity Lounge. It's the PHLY Sixers podcast, along with Derek and Kyle. I'm Devon, and we are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And even when the Sixers are pretty good, all things considered, it's still not ordinary that their big three have a winless record through the 4 games that they've played, and we need to discuss that and so much more with all of your questions here on a Mailbag Monday. Tyler is here with us, filling in for Bree. We appreciate him, and thank you to all of you for hanging out with us on this Mailbag Monday. Good to see everybody as we are all back together here in the studio. It's good to see you, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I know I saw you on the stream yesterday, but
a little different.
Seeing everybody in person after being out of office for most of December was it's been nice. I know that the office is rather empty because the people who are not on air are taking some well-deserved time off during the year, but it's good to be back. Good to be back at the home base, so to speak.
Good to see you. Good to see everybody there in the chat. We appreciate a lot to get to. And let's start off as we begin with the Philadelphia 76ers right now, 16-14, currently on a 3-game losing streak, 16-14 through the 30 games that they have played. And it's weird because what did they start off? 6-4 in the first 10.
Well, like 4-1, right?
Right. And then in the first 10 overall, 6-4, and then 5-5 the next 10, 5-5 here. They're still above 500, but that's not the case for the big three when they're out there on the floor together. 0-4, so let's get to the first question that is kind of starting things off for us on this Mailbag Monday. What's the biggest reason, as Busey says here, Busey49, what's the biggest reason the big three is 0-4? Small sample variance, games too spread out, so no chemistry. Rest of the team defers. Kyle, let's start with you. Which one do you believe that it is?
Well, so first off, we had a comment from Markel Futz. They said, I don't know what you're talking about. My big three is Maxey, VJ, and McCain. So I don't know what the record is when all 3 of them play. We'd have to double check on that one.
Interesting that McCain is part of the big three.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do not think he has played well enough to be part of any big three, but that's neither here nor there. So here's where I would start. And frankly, I will probably finish there because I think it's the most important thing. They simply have not gotten enough time on the floor. And I don't even mean just the big three. If you look at the Sixers lineups this year and compare them to not even good teams, just to all teams across the league, they have much less certainty in all of their lineups, all of their rotations, all in their groupings than basically every other team in the NBA. Frankly, when they have had their 3 guys on the floor, they've been much better than last season, which to me is very encouraging. Last year, lineups with Paul, Joel, and Tyrese were actually underwater. They lost those minutes. That was a lot of health and poor play from all 3 of those. This year, they're at about plus 5.2. That's not dominant. It's not great, but it's pretty good. And if you have good other lineups, that will tend to work. But just in terms of the raw volume of minutes and of possessions, they have 173 possessions with those 3 on the floor and anybody else. If you look at other teams, so Houston is an example I wanted to pick on because their main guys have been healthy. They've been very good this year. Şengün, Durant, and Amen Thompson have played over 1,100 possessions together this year. 5-man groups for a lot of teams around the league, like Minnesota is the prime example. They have a group of 5 guys that have played over 600 possessions together. And there are many teams around the league that have 5-man groupings that are 500, 400, 350, 350, 300. and these guys are getting their legs under them. When you have lineups that play a lot of minutes and get a lot of reps together, there's another side effect from that. Your backup groups and your backup pairings, they get more time together. They have more consistency. They have more of a rhythm that they're able to build. So to me, this answer is just about they've had no stability whatsoever. Their most played lineup, 5-man group, as a team this year has only played 108 possessions together. It's one of the lowest numbers for a team in the entire league for their top group. By the way, that top group is getting absolutely destroyed. It's Andre Drummond, Barlow, PG, VJ, and Maxey. They're in the 0th percentile for offense, which, as it turns out, is not very good. But that's the big thing. It's not just that these guys as a trio are not getting enough time together, but because when they come back, all the other rotations, all the other combinations are being altered. There's just really no way to get a solid foundation under you. So I don't want to cop out and be like, well, it's health and injuries, but it's a lot of health and injuries and not having the time to be a firm enough group to win games.
No, if you ask me what my biggest takeaway is from the Sixers being 0-4 with the big three on the floor, it's that people take way too much out of small sample size nonsense, especially when it confirms with air quotes, their preconceived notions or the narrative that they want to push. You brought up the plus 5.2 net rating when all three are on the floor. Not great, but compared to last year when you were in the red and compared to this year when the team as a whole is plus 0.3. So we're basically dead even as a team. Plus 5.2 is one of their better lineups. Like we hear time and time again, oh, Maxey's not effective when Embiid's on the floor. You're taking the ball out of his hands too much when Embiid and George are on the floor. Do you know what the net rating is when Maxey is on the floor without Embiid and George? Plus 3. So when all three are on the floor, the net rating is better when just Maxey is. When it's just Maxey and Paul George, you're at a negative 6.8 net rating. So both instances, Joel Embiid is making both the team and Maxey better. And when you start looking at the efficiency of it, Maxey's still more efficient with Embiid on the floor. When you have all three of them on the floor, both Maxey and Embiid have about a pretty similar scoring average, 31 points per 100 for Maxey, 33 for Embiid, both about the same efficiency, 60.5% for Maxey, 59.5% for Embiid. So they're both succeeding with both of them on the floor. Kyle's point about not having any kind of consistency in any facet of a lineup, by the way, that includes the starters around them. You know, VJ's been mostly consistent, but that 4 spot has been Barlow.
But even VJ, right? Like he finally was able to get back closer to that form we saw beginning of the year where he was playing awesome.
Right.
And then he misses a game due to illness and he comes back and he has 2 games that are below the standard. Like that's kind of been the whole season, is that save for Maxey for most of the year, it's been guys having good stretches or showing flashes. And then right away, it's an ankle. Oh, it's an illness. Oh, it's a knee, whatever it could be. And it's just a really hard way to play consistent winning basketball.
Yeah. But if you're sitting here and you're outscoring teams when those three are on the floor, and you're doing so pretty consistently, and you're losing games when you have to mixing other players in, a large part of that is, well, first of all, you're down 2 of your key rotation pieces in Oubre and Watford. But there's just so much change and uncertainty that, like, you know, people will be like, oh, well, they're playing like strangers on the... Of course they are, because they're strangers on the basketball court. Like, even going back to last year, those three barely played next to each other. I do think this is mostly a temporary problem, that record. Like, I think if they play a good amount of games next to each other, they will find success. Both because those numbers that we cited, where they're actually outscoring when they're on the floor together, will eventually lead to wins. But also, I expect them to play better and better and better as we get more data on that. It is, it's been a story of the last 2 years where like nobody's able to build any kind of chemistry and cohesion next to each other. I don't necessarily expect that to change, but I also don't think that like it's easy to look at that 0-4 record and say that they are failing as a trio. I just fundamentally don't really agree with that. I think the losses have come at other stages of the game.
The problem is, as you say, and we talk about not enough sample size, not enough work out there together. The guys have talked about in the summer, at the end of last year, how they need to have some sort of cohesion, some chemistry out there on the floor. It has not happened. The issue is now, though, they're 16-14. They have played 0-4 through 30 games. Mm-hmm. Is that going to get better? where we see more than 4 through the next 30.
I sure hope so.
I sure hope so as well. But the way we have seen things, look, also you've had the fact that they've played where more recently when Tyrese Maxey was out because of his illness, Paul George and Joel Embiid were on the floor. So he could not play there. I'd imagine Tyrese Maxey would have played in those 2 games, and that would have been 6. Now, whether they have won those 0-6 or 2-4 there, who knows? But 4-30 is not great after seeing 15-82 last year between the 3 of them together. That's not good. They're more on track for that than to once, as Derek said, once they're out there, it'll get better. We don't know that they're going to be out there together, as Kyle pointed out. I hope so. We just don't know that because of the way that they have been in and out of the lineup, specifically with Joel Embiid being in and out of that lineup. And if we look at the month of January, where 31 days in January, 17 games in January. How many are they going to play together? I would hope it's a decent amount.
It's the fabled can't play more than 17 in a month that we love to joke about.
17 and 30, baby.
17 and 30. And how many of those are they going to play together as a trio on the basketball floor? That's going to be the question for this basketball team. And it's something that's the Sixers. That is the Sixers. And we just have to hope that it carries them enough through a winning record to be in a position for a playoff spot and then play in a 7-game series and see if you can get them all out there on the floor and win some basketball games at that time. But right now, 4 out of 30, not good. Not good. And you've lost every one of those 4 of those 30. Not great.
Yeah. And so, look, a lot of people harp on or think they are seeing the play style changes and Maxey's not able to be as successful. And there are certainly growing pains, right? We can pull the numbers and I know that the more pro Embiid people are like, well, the pace has actually been a little bit faster with Joel on the floor, which they have not played at a fast pace basically in general. That pace number, the faster pace number with Embiid, reflects the fact that he can get a quicker shot than a lot of the role players in this rotation rather than, boy, they're running when anybody is on the floor. But there's definitely something to the idea of the pockets of the game where somebody is the feature of the offense or somebody is taking over, right? It is a little less complicated for Tyrese Maxey when Paul George is the number 2 or VJ is the number 2 and Paul George is 3, whatever, however you want to put it. When Joel is not in the lineup, and Maxey can start the game and just say, I have the neon green light and I can take, if I want to take 10 shots in the first 10 minutes of the game, there's nobody there to stop me and I can work myself into a rhythm. Whereas it's a little bit more complicated. It is a little bit more like, all right, everybody's got to eat. Joel's got to get his touches. Paul's got to get some touches. VJ's got to get some touches. And it's a more delicate ecosystem. But that is what it requires to be a great team in the first place, right? So if Tyrese Maxey isn't scoring 30-plus points a game, but they're able to win consistently, I don't really give a damn whether that impacts his All-Star, All-NBA, MVP chances. Sure. I would say the same thing for Joel Embiid, same thing for VJ with all rookie stuff, right? If guys' numbers come down and they're able to find a better version of the offense where they generate open threes, where they're able to tap into Joel's half-court ability while still running with Tyrese and VJ, to me, that's the best version of the team. The only way you can do that is by getting them all on the floor and figuring this out, not trying to point fingers and blame and say, well, Tyrese has had these 2 bad games and it's all Joel's fault. It's like, no, that's not how anybody should view it. I get it's frustrating. I get you want it to just be Tyrese is at the same level all the time and nothing ever goes wrong, but they have to figure this out together. What they have to do is exactly what you said, Devon. They need to play more than 4 games together in 30. The next 30, you got to shoot for at least half of those games or all 3 of them together because that's the only way they're going to build this into a playoff caliber offense by the time they hit the playoffs.
All right, let's go to the, well, you know what? Let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll get to our next question on this Mailbag Monday. The big 3 start things out. Not Jared McCain, VJ Edgecombe, and Tyrese Maxey, but Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey as far as the big 3, 0-4 in their 4 games. We'll get to our next question. When we get back, it's the PHLY Sixers podcast on a Monday, a Mailbag Monday.
You ever head on over to a friend's house, you sit down, you're ready to watch a big game. They get out all the food. You think it's going to be a great time. Instead, it is a total mess. It's lagging. It's buffering. Switching between apps trying to find the game. Complete and utter disaster. See, he claimed he was a big fan, but you feel like you've been tricked. But if you call yourself a basketball fan, you have to have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination where I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way that I watch is next level. Got all the action right in my living room, plus with Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, it's so clear that it feels like I'm in the arena. Sometimes I even throw 4 games on at once because it is a beautifully hectic portion of the sports calendar, and there's a lot to keep up with. And on top of that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right there on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
Philly sports fans, I need you to listen up. It's the season of gifting. Maybe it's a little past the holidays, but surely there's somebody in your life you haven't been able to see. You want to get the perfect gift. If you want to get them something truly unforgettable, you got to check out the incredible work from Philadelphia artist Jordan Spector at SpectorSportsArt.com. We have some of Jordan's artwork here in the studio. I have some of it at home. They are unbelievable, unforgettable type of moments that are proud parts of Philly sports history. Here's the best part, guys. You can get them in all different types and sizes, prints, canvases, even athlete-partnered trading cards. One of the newest cards actually includes a piece of Brandon Graham's real game-worn jersey from that matchup in New Orleans, remember, against the Chiefs. If you've got a diehard sports fan in your life, it's the kind of gift they'll talk about forever. Head to SpectorSportsArt.com. That's SpectorSportsArt.com and grab something epic for the Philly sports fan in your life.
And we're back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast on the Mailbag Monday, the final one of 2025. Wow, 2025 in the books already, huh? How about that? 2025 in the books.
Throw it in the trash for the most part.
You're not lying. Yeah, you are not lying about that.
We move on to 2026.
Yes, we do. And that will be this week. We move on to 2026. But before we do so, I think our next question might actually ask us something about 2025. What's the next question that we have here? Ty, veteran of the Psychic Wars, says, since it's a year-end mailbag, what are your 2 biggest takeaways from 2025? Mine are Maxey taking another leap on and off the court and tanking, although I'm not against all it means, landing VJ thereby at least solidifying the backcourt.
It is funny how many people would complain about tanking like last February and March. Are you handing VJ back? Are you offering to give him away? No, you're not. You are okay with tanking. You just want to act like you're holier than now. Anyway.
Tanking sucks.
Yes, but losing that pick would have sucked more.
That would have sucked more.
That's correct.
Yes.
All right, so what are your biggest takeaways, boys?
Well, VJ was going to be one of mine. The fact that they did land somebody that could be in the backcourt with Tyrese Maxey for years, and he looks right now through the 30 games, he looks the part. And it seems like they hit on that and got that right. The other one is not the Tyrese Maxey part of it. More for me is that Joel Embiid finally looks like he's not the Joel Embiid. While he still can go out there and offensively put up the numbers that he does, the two-way Joel Embiid, while I had those questions of, is it really there? Is it really gone? Can he still get it back? I think the answer has already been there for us through these games that he has played so far, which is that defensive performance that we knew made him the great two-way center, the big man that we discussed in those best big men in the conversations with Jokic. But as the two-way, it was really him and Anthony Davis when he was healthy. That Joel Embiid is no longer there for the Sixers because part of 2025, he had to shut it down early and as they were tanking, as you say, and that helped out certainly, but he wasn't playing enough games as it was anyway. Mm-hmm. And then when we get here, it was great to see him ready for the start of the year. He can still put up 39 in a game and impact it that way. But the two-way dominant force where it's both ends of the court, that Joel Embiid is not there anymore.
Yeah, no, I remember sitting here in January and like, oh, he's getting absolutely destroyed in space. Like this is just not anywhere near the same. And, you know, I think he has had moments this year where he's looked better, but certainly not consistently. And he's certainly not impacting the game on that end anywhere near. And it would be, I think, foolish to expect him to get back to where he was pre-injury. And I'm hoping he can inch closer, just a couple steps back in that direction. Hopefully, maybe with playing with more regularity. But yeah, that two-way dominance, I don't expect to return for sure.
All right, I'm going to give you one positive and one negative. One positive is I'm basically going to combine the ideas that our friend veteran of the Psychic Wars was talking about. The Maxey Edgecombe backcourt, to me, looks like a hand-in-glove fit. It looks like a pairing that is not just fun to watch, but looks like they can play a lot of winning basketball in the years ahead as maybe these contracts come off the books, as they reshuffle the roster a little bit and mold it around those two. Maxey and the level up that he has done yet again this year has just inspired much more confidence in me in the long term. And I think VJ, while he's been uneven, has shown the sort of growth that you want in an off season between, like, we knew it was a very good prospect. We were very excited about the Sixers getting him. But I think seeing him put the work ethic that we've heard about on paper, in the sense that we're seeing real shooting growth from him. We said, hey, I believe in the shot. I think it'll be there eventually. For VJ to be able to get in the gym and with trainers, with his team, and be a very good catch and shoot player right away, to me is a great indicator for this is a kid who's going to trend upward over the long term and is going to be able to iron out some of the issues that we've seen. So I'm very, very excited about that. Now, on the other hand, I'll go one negative thing. I am increasingly worried about Jared McCain and how long his tenure in Philly is going to last. I know that he is battling multiple issues. The long road back from the meniscus, had I was going to say abbreviated preseason, but it's a non-existent preseason where he just gets thrown right into the mix, and his role's been inconsistent. His minutes have been inconsistent. We all understand that, but I just look at where he's at in the organizational pecking order, and I say, it just feels like he's not long for this situation. Like, if I'm Jared and I'm Jared's representation and I'm his people around him, I'm looking at them taking VJ and VJ being an every night starter and Jared maybe scraping 15 minutes most nights. And I'm saying, I don't want my client here. I don't want my son, my brother, my cousin, whoever it might be, my friend here. And while Jared is a good soldier, says all the right things, does all the right things, has not made any kind of noise about this, nor can he, by the way. He's shooting like 36% from the field, so it's hard to complain about your minutes. I don't know that he's going to be able to bottle what he did last year and bring it to this newer version of the team where the backcourt is more crowded. And I don't know. I don't feel great about how he looks and what the future looks like for him here. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe Jared over the next month is going to just go bananas from three and he's going to remind us all who he is. It's just tough to fit all these guys into one rotation and get the most out of them, or at least it has been so far.
Yeah, I mean, my two takeaways were Maxey and Edgecombe, and because to me they're the most important. Even with everyone wants to talk about Joel, your future is those two, and getting that pick, having him translate quicker, having that fit be seamless, and also having Maxey level up just makes team building going forward all that much easier. Mm-hmm. It is why, no matter how much the day-to-day might frustrate us, when you take a step back, I think it's been a very positive start this season.
100%.
Not because I think my expectations for the 2025-26 season are changed, but your hope and your belief in the future. And like I said, just having those two where they fit and where you believe Maxey can lead a team, if those two questions are answered in a positive direction, this season will have been a huge success.
The thing about the Embiid part, though, is that with all the time off that he had at the end of the 24-25 season, when they shut him down in the early part of March, I believe it was. And then there was just hope, though, as you just talk about hope with those two cornerstones going forward, that maybe the rest, which he did not have enough of last season, maybe the rest is going to help him out in the long run, Joel Embiid, where he does return back to form and be that player once again. But now that we have seen him Yeah, he can have stretches. Can he do it for a playoff series? We have to wait and find out. They have to get there first, and he has to be able to play in that playoff series to do so. I think that's why it's still, I'm not going to say top of mind, but right there as one of the main conversation pieces of, hey, could this guy still do it? And now we're getting an answer, though, at the end of 2025 where he can do it maybe on one end. He can have a few possessions, but he cannot do it for 48 like he used to.
I mean, it's definitely top of mind in a conversation piece because every time we do a show, it doesn't matter what it's based on. The entire chat is arguing about the merits or the cons of Joel Embiid. So it cannot possibly not be top of mind. And I will say, like, I kind of think of everything in like confidence levels. And like my confidence level of Joel, again, returning back to where he was defensively is almost zero. He's just had too many injuries and too many surgeries, not enough meniscus. It's a bad combination. But my confidence level in him being a good defender has dropped. But I'm never going to rule something out, especially now because we are finally seeing him play somewhat regularly for the first time in like 2 years. Can that rhythm, can that, building up of the ligaments around the knee, can just learning the limitations of his body. This feels like it's the first time we're actually going to get to test that out. And it did seem like each time this year when he's had pockets where he's played consistently, he has been trending in the right direction towards the end of those strings. So like, do I think he's going to string it together? No, but if he is somehow able to, will that lead to a better version? I don't know, but I'm open to watching that play out. If we can see those three on the court for a long time, I think we can learn a lot.
Derek, let me ask you real quick about McCain, because I think you were probably the most bullish on him coming into the season. Where are you at with him right now? Like all the obvious context of we understand the injuries and all that, but like as you watch how his season has played out and also read between the lines on like drafting VJ and any kind of comments that have been made publicly by Daryl and Nurse, et cetera, how do you feel about his standing within this whole ecosystem?
Yeah. So I would say like, I'll start off with my own personal eval since I probably was on the higher end of the Jared McCain spectrum. I don't think my personal eval has changed. I think I probably undersold the difficulty of coming back without a training camp and undersold the amount of time it takes to come back from that injury. Yeah. I think he's eventually going to get back, but it is one where like, he's kind of on the razor's edge of having enough functional NBA athleticism. And if for whatever reason he doesn't, he only comes 95% of the way back after that surgery and the recovery, is that going to impact him? We will see. I'm hopeful he can get all the way back, but I would say I'm still relatively a believer in him, but this might be a tough year for him. In terms of his standing within the organization, like I just think that, first of all, I don't think Nick loves his defense. And I think there's some legitimate concern about how he can play next to Maxey. And he has to be great on offense to overcome that. And he obviously has not been great. Do I worry that a team with limited positive value trade assets might move their one short guard to try to reshuffle the roster? Yeah, I'm never going to dismiss that. Like, is standing within the organization? I don't know, because I do think there are limited ways they can actually go to change the equation and change the dynamic of the roster. And he would obviously be one of them. That being said, like, I don't think his trade value is all that high. Like,
no, not right now, at least. Yeah.
It'd be one thing if like he didn't get hurt last year, he plays the entire season, he builds on that 23 game stretch, comes into the year and maybe even then has a down start to the year. But it's been like a year since he played consistently good basketball. I don't expect they could actually get that much for him. So hopefully that means they will keep him and give him a chance to rebuild himself back up and play his way back to where he was.
All right, let's take our next pause here on the show. And as we do that, come back, we'll get into the rest of the questions here on this Mailbag Monday. I mean, one more thing for Joel Embiid. Ty, you got that I just sent you? That if we're going to talk about him being healthy, being a little bit more consistent out there on the floor and, not popping up on the injury report, this one thing that might help for Joel Embiid, as great as he is, it's almost like he does this on purpose because he is Joel Embiid. He does this stuff on purpose just to show that he still has it. We're not worried about the knee brace or any of that stuff anymore. But Joel against the Chicago Bulls, they should have won the game, as we talked about. Should have won that basketball game.
Oh, I think I know what you're getting at.
And, you know, it goes a little bit better when we have the graphic with it. Just to,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know if I want to see it, but I know what you're talking about.
But some of those people who may have been with the family, a little vacation, they haven't tuned into the show. It's a Mailbag Monday. We can bring it up and just show the people that, wow, yes, Joel Embiid has his sneakers. Can he at least wear socks so he doesn't appear on the injury report?
Come on, dog.
With an ankle.
Absolutely insane behavior. I don't even care if they're no-show socks.
At least wear ankle socks.
I'm saying, like,
I know
this could be a no-show. I don't think it, like, it doesn't really matter to me, honestly, whether it's no socks or no-show socks with basketball shoes in a basketball game. Put some damn socks on, dog. Like, what do you do?
Do you remember when he was rehabbing those first 2 years? He would show up and go through like shooting drills with his shoes untied all the time. It used to give me a heart attack.
Yes. And
I'd almost rather that than see him in those socks. Like, what? What are you doing, dude?
I mean, come on, man. Now, and then the next
day
like
he appears. Marketing where at Skechers is like, you don't even need socks to wear our shoes.
That's what I'm saying.
Am I getting duped with the
trolling? I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I assume that's a no-show sock. It has to be.
Listen, and Kyle's right.
I still don't even care.
Maybe it's not. He might have them on. Put some at least the ankle socks on. Put the ones that Kelly Olynyk always has on, the lowest low of ankle socks on. You cannot have that.
I'm a hater of no-show socks
not
base
going
level.
to cover your ankles and show people that you don't have socks on.
I just have to. I think no-show socks are a ridiculous concept in the first place. Like,
I like them in the summer.
I don't.
I don't. If
Winters, whatever. Summer, I want no-show socks. So. And I know they've kind of gone out of fashion. I don't care. I prefer it.
You look like Brian Colangelo wearing no-show socks. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
That is the most I have ever been criticized. That would hurt the most.
You and I were both at the same events watching him wear capris with no-show socks.
No, like with shorts, I wear no-show socks.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. That was a bad look. Bad look by him.
Either way, Joel, you're a much better athlete than anyone on this show could ever aspire to be. Wear some damn socks.
Look,
like some real socks.
I can drop 29 in the NBA game with no socks on. I'm good. I know, Joel, you can.
Schoolboy said, Embiid out of pocket. Those shoes probably smell like boiled bologna. On that note, let's take a break and talk about here. Something a little more appealing than Joel.
And we'll get to it's 2025, everybody. Joel said, look at me.
Leave this behind in this year. Socks in 2026. New Year's resolution, please.
Yes. All right, pause right here on the show. We'll come back on the PHLY Sixers podcast, Mailbag Monday. Bet365, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Over 90 million users worldwide. I'm one of them. Hopefully you are too. And tonight for some Monday Night Football action, you can get in there with a 30% same game parlay profit boost for the Rams and the Falcons tonight. Big game, of course, for LA and Atlanta still trying to hang in there and remain in the hunt. You can also contend with the holiday hot streak that's still going on until December 31st. So if you're not a new customer and you want to jump on in there, all you have to do is, number one, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's right. That's not just for the holidays. That's every day right here at Bet365. Your bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call always 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you want to keep your finances under control this holiday season, you need to be using Monarch. Rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or your phone. And right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. During this holiday season, Monarch was the wake-up call that I needed. It made me stop and adjust my spending before the credit card bill arrived. Monarch does all the heavy lifting for you, linking all of your accounts in minutes so you can get clear data visuals, smart categorization of your spending, and real control over your money. Monarch gives your partner full access to your shared dashboard, including linked accounts, budgets, goals, and spending activity, all in one place and at no extra cost. Monarch was named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code PHLY at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY.
Back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast on this Mailbag Monday. Make sure you go sign up to become a diehard member, everybody, at allphly.com. Check us out. Go ahead and jump in. Become one of the members where you can read the great stories from Derek at allphly.com on the Sixers, all the great stories and game recaps from Kyle during the season and the playoffs and during the offseason as well. Both of them all at allphly.com. And Rich's newsletter as well, the best in the world. It's the best in the world, not just in the area talking about the Sixers or Philly sports. It's the best in the world. Make sure you go read Rich's newsletter as well at allphly.com. And you have the football playoffs getting underway. The Flyers are in action. They're very competitive right now as well. And the Phillies offseason. All right, Kyle Schwarber's done, but what about JT Realmuto? You have Bryce Harper wearing certain shirts to call out the president of the team, and all of that stuff available for you at allphly.com, and you can check out our merch as well. Hats here all across allphly.com. When you drop down the merch button, you can go in there and support and get yourself a hat, maybe get a belated Christmas gift, holiday gift for someone at allphly.com. And go to the store, our store, and see all the great merchandise that we have there. New hats here that we have on right now. Kyle rocked the new hat.
I missed
Eagles
those
hat.
while I was in Egypt, I guess.
But you rocked the Eagles, the new green branded Bills hat.
Also, he's got a PHLY hat on.
I do.
Still.
Yeah.
The classic dad hat.
Yes. So go check it out, allphly.com. Continue to support us here. We love it. We appreciate it. And we thank you. All right. Next question here on the Mailbag Monday. Mike says, if the season continues how it's been with Embiid available less than half the time and VJ and Maxey ahead of schedule as a pairing and the team not making a deep playoff run, would the Sixers consider creative measures to move off Embiid or Paul George, as difficult as that may be?
I guess, what are we talking about as a creative measure?
So, Derek, you've brought this up. I don't think they would need to get super creative with Paul. With Joel, yeah, you're going to have to be like Rembrandt out there to find a trade that moves Joel, doesn't sacrifice much, if any, future capital, and also allows you to have an opportunity to make the team actively better in the short run. And I think the most important thing there is, I think if the assumption is here that management stays the same, coaching stays the same, like it's more of a continuity next year, couple of years, I think the standard that Maxey and VJ would have to set for the rest of this year would have to be remarkably high in terms of wins and losses in order to justify saying, hey, we're going to move PG and or Joel come hell or high water, right? Because if you're in a position where you say, we're willing to put some of these like the Clippers assets on the table and we're really shopping, we're going out there, we'll get these contracts off the books, we'll bring younger, maybe more viable pieces around Maxey and VJ, you better be damn sure that those guys are ready to win in a year or 2 years, because otherwise you are robbing their future to set them up for a present that is like, what's the ultimate ceiling on a team around those guys in year 2 for VJ and year, what would it be, 6, 7 for Maxey?
No.
I would find it hard to believe that they could get to a place between now and the end of the year that by the time the summer hits, it's like everything must go, picks, players. It's hard to see that. It's not impossible, but Maxey and VJ both would have to be like outstanding from now until the end of the year.
Yeah, look, Paul is different, because especially if he plays mostly regularly, let's say continues to average like 16, 5, and 3, is a good added piece, good defender, makes the shots from the perimeter. With only 2 years left on the contract, it won't be as prohibitive to move him as it would be for Embiid. So I think you can start being like, all right, well, let's maybe try to send Paul with a couple of picks, get someone younger, maybe someone that fits that play style a little bit better, or maybe just somebody you can count on a little more going forward. That's a conversation you can have. I don't think you have to get all that creative. Again, assuming Paul is actually on the court for most of the rest of the year, or at least more than 50% of the time, which with this group is quite an accomplishment. Joel's different. Like, he's got a ton of money left. He's barely on the floor. We all talk about his defensive limitations. The way I brought it up, like, I do think Maxey is actually like the perfect archetype of a star. And if the Sixers, as a contending team, don't view Joel Embiid as positive salary, how the heck are you going to convince anybody else that it is? So if you think he is as bad as you claim he is, and again, I think a lot of that is overstated, but if you think he's that bad and that unreliable with that much money, getting off of that contract is going to be prohibitive. And it's a little bit of like, yeah, maybe this is your short-term goal just because you're sick of talking about the contract, but is it a pyrrhic victory? Like, is it okay, we finally made this move. Now I have no assets left to build around Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. I think that's what you're looking at. And I guess the other way that people go about, what's a creative solve to this is stretching and waiving. You can't do that until 2027 with Joel Embiid. So that's not even an option right now. So you've got some time to wait on that. So no, I think for the most part, like, unless Joel Embiid gets back to playing basketball at a high level and regularly, I think the cost it would take to get off of that contract would prohibit you from making future moves and would end up, hurting you more than it actually helps you.
The creative way is just simply him finding a defining role, playing with those two young guys going forward. And that has nothing to do with the money because the money is locked in. And that's what it is. He's here. And as you said, the stretching wouldn't happen until 2027. The Paul George side of things, be very curious to see what other teams might be interested in Paul George, taking on that last 2 years of the money. Is it more for absorbing the money because they have the space, or because they actually think he can play and help that team out if that were to happen somewhere down the line?
And again, I think from a perspective of, all right, we have these two guys that we think are future pillars. How can we get the third piece? I think you wait, let Paul George get to where he's only got 2 years left on the contract, get to where you have 4 tradable first-round picks instead of 3, get to where maybe you can bring Quentin Grimes back on a matching salary contract, which, again, I'm talking mostly from a matching salary contract perspective because I think the Sixers need some of those middle salaries. All of a sudden, you have way more optionality with that than you do right now.
Yeah, the only sort of Joel trade that would make sense if you're like, they just got to clear the decks, is if you can find a team that has a similar but shorter problematic contract where you could say, an example I would give would be the Kings, right? They have Zach LaVine is making almost $50 million this year, and then I believe he has a player option next year. Maybe Sacramento has just been so destitute that they're like, we'll take the flyer. Like, we'll gamble on Joel Embiid. Maybe we can get him healthy. If you want to talk about an organization that shouldn't believe anything good will happen to them, it is the Sacramento Kings. But maybe they say, we'll just swap those contracts. I think you would need to probably add more money on Sacramento's side to make that legal. But you swap that, and then it's basically just like, you're not going to win this year or next with Zach LaVine next to these guys. But his contract is off the books next summer. And then the only step you have to take is you're trading Paul George for anybody who wants him with like a year left on the contract. And that's a much more straightforward proposition than anything we're talking about with Joel Embiid. Now, I don't even think that's out there, right? I don't think the appetite is there for teams to absorb Joel Embiid over the next 3-4 years. How could you build an organization around him? I don't even think like the biggest Joel believers at this point could pitch their owner on, hey, this is the guy who's the face of our franchise, or at least one of the faces of the franchise. And that's a real part of the problem, right? It is not even that people don't see basketball value in him, is that the people who actually control the league, the people who have to put their signature on, hey, you're allowed to do this, are looking at him and saying, what, we might get him for 12 home games this year. How, like, what does that do for me as, NBA owner X? And so people want creative ways, and I'm sure that there are very, very internal conversations about stuff like this. I just don't think it's possible. You really just have to hope that he gets better and helps you win. That's the path.
Yeah. No, you can't trade a part-time player that's owed $180 million after this year, whatever Joel's owed.
And if you could, it's for another part-time player making lots of money who you also don't want on the team. Like that's the inherent problem. He just so happens to be at the highest end of the talent spectrum, of players in that kind of grouping, I guess.
All right, final break. Final questions on the other side here on the PHLY Sixers podcast presented by Bet365. Shopify, got to tell you about the good people there. What kind of dreams did you have as a kid? When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Did you want to be an entrepreneur, own your own spot, something like that? I know I did. I wanted to own a sneaker store. You guys know me well enough. You know how much I love sneakers. It never came to fruition. But that said, if I did, I would be going to Shopify to help out. And if you are going to do so, a new resolution for the new year, starting that business that you wanted to, as always, Shopify is the place for you to go. How about that? Thinking about starting your own business? Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Shopify even powers the PHLY merch store. Check out the hat right here. Got it, courtesy of Shopify. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into cha-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's Shopify/allcity. Cha-ching!
Guys, you know it. I know it. Eating well during the holidays feels borderline impossible. At least eating healthily. You're eating a lot. You're seeing your friends and family, but the diet gets away from you. Nobody wants to look at the scale. That's why I need the dietitian-approved chef prep meals from Factor to keep me on track as we head into the new year and make those resolutions that only some of us are going to follow. Here's the great thing with Factor. There is no prep time. You get tastes and flavors from all over the world, Chinese, Indian, Mediterranean, Mexican, whatever it might be. Eat smart at factormeals.com/PHLY50 off. Use the code PHLY50 off. That's 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. PHLY50 off at factormeals.com. This exclusive holiday offer won't last. Lock in your savings before the New Year's rush. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
And we're back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. The gang's here. Derek, Kyle, Devon, Tyler's with us. Bree will be back later in the week as we head into the new year. How many questions do we have left, Ty? One more? Two more?
We got quite a few.
Yeah. All right. Let's get one more in here. See where we go from there. We've got Phil checking in, asking 3 questions. What's going on with McCain? Some good games, some bad games. Is he still rehabbing or struggling? That's 1. 2, status future of Grimes, rest of the season, re-sign or gone for nothing as a free agent. And 3, finally, any trades coming, who could go? So
I feel like we already hit on the
McCain part.
McCain stuff, so we probably don't have to dive too deeply into that.
How you feeling about Grimes, Derek, as far as the offseason goes? Because he has a no trade unless he waives that at the trade deadline. How are you feeling about that going into the offseason?
I mean, I'm going to cop out a little bit and say that I want to see how he plays the rest of the way because I do think a lot of what Kyle said about everyone building chemistry applies to him as well. Certainly, he is in the middle of a massive slump right now, and when the shot's not going in, the rest of the nonsense on offense you are less willing to put up with. I do think still fundamentally he can be a good two-way off-ball catch-and-shoot player, and that's very valuable. I also do think fundamentally you need some tradable pieces. You know, I think I'm probably a little less willing to offer him a sizable deal now than I was over the summer. Maybe you're talking about a 10 to 15 mil per year deal now instead of a 15 to 20. But I would still have interest in bringing him back. But like I said, a big part of that is also I just think you need some trade flexibility, and you have almost none of it. And he's one that can actually give it to you.
Yeah, I go real back and forth on the Quentin Grimes experience because he has made a lot.
Coaster.
He has made a lot of winning plays in crunch time this year. I give him a tremendous amount of credit for, especially at the start of the year. He had probably 3 or 4 just monster shots and stretches that helped them get off to that really good start they were on. Even within those games, though, there were shifts where he comes in and you're like, who do you think you are, man? Like, you are not Tyrese Maxey, and I don't want you to play like him. And I think we've seen more of that guy recently, as I said to you guys, and we talked about on the post-game show after the Thunder game. I think the problem recently has been he has not been able to decouple the offensive struggles from the defensive issues that he has at times. There were periods last year he was just great offensively all the time. But even at the start of the year, when he had periods of games where he's not shooting the ball well, I still thought his play-to-play consistency on defense was really good. I don't think that's been the case recently. I think Nick Nurse has not been super happy with him on defense recently. And I think he's got to get back to like, okay, maybe I'm 1 for 6 to start the game and I'm not getting my touches. I'm just not shooting the ball well. I still have to go down on the other end and put my hard hat on, communicate on defense, switch with these other guys and make sure pieces are moving into the right places. So I'm pretty neutral on him overall. I think on the right contract, I would want him back. I do think, though, that his presence has been a real complicating factor for McCain. And is part of why I think there's been an additional drag on his start to the year, where I think you can make a very easy case McCain doesn't deserve more minutes than he's gotten because he has not played well. But I wonder if he had just been able to play more because Quentin Grimes is not here, if he would have broke through sooner, if he would have had some of these games where you say, boy, Jared is back. I don't, it's a chicken or the egg type of situation, but I do think it's not Quentin's fault. He's played better than Jared and has deserved to play more. But I think Jared is a more important player, both for development purposes and for potentially the trade stuff that Derek had mentioned earlier.
And as far as the trade goes for him or free agency in the offseason, no trade during the season because of the no trade clause unless he waives that. But in the offseason, as Derek said, now maybe 10 to 15 instead of 15 to 20 or the 25-30 that was out there as well. It's going to be about what he wants to money-wise because he has missed a couple of extension opportunities that he was not happy with, and therefore he's on this one-year deal right now. He's going to want some money, and I think that's going to play a part in it. I don't know that it's going to matter where he ends up. If the money is right, they'll figure it out as they go along, but secure the money will be top of mind, I think, too, as part of their whole thing. Also, the third question was trade possibilities. The deadline is in February, but that's a month and some
Can
change
we get
away.
Derek a duck hat to wear, like some kind of Bass Pro Shops type of that was some free promo for them, I guess, but that's the vibe I'm going for. Like just some kind of hunting hat with a big duck on it for Derek to wear whenever we talk about trade possibilities, because I think that's
who are the possible candidates, if you would say right now. If Grimes is
none.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it would be Kelly and Drum, but maybe Drum a little less because he's playing some pretty bad basketball of late. But like Kelly's really important to what they're doing. You're only trading him to duck the tax. So it depends whether or not they are good enough where Daryl can convince Josh.
We need a quack
not to
sound drop, by the way, to add to the board for whoever's producing.
I don't think they have the pieces
for a rubber ducky, man.
or they can really be buyers.
Yeah.
So I expect either they do something small or they make a move to duck the tax.
All right. One more, Ty. Let's get one more in here before we get ready to say goodbye to everybody. Reardon, who's also in the chat.
Hello, Reardon.
Reardon says, by the way, quack, quack, quack in the chat right there. Are there any moves that can be made to obtain a first-round pick in the 26th draft? Would this be desirable based on the anticipated cost?
I would say it's going to be very difficult to get a pick that matters in a draft where the top of this class is as good as they look like they're good. Like, I don't know how much college basketball chat has watched so far this year, but Peterson has not played a ton because he's been dealing with injuries. But Boozer and Debanca are going bonkers. Like, I actually said in our Discord, and I'll just say this on the show, AJ is who a lot of the Ace people thought Ace was in college basketball last year. Go watch BYU play. That dude is just crazy, like crazy athlete at that size. I do think there are some criticisms to be made about like not being as impactful defensively as maybe he should be with the physical tools that he has, but that dude is going to be tough to stop at the NBA level.
If you do check out some of the Darren Peterson games before he went down, man, was he good.
He might be the best player in the class. Like, I think that was the buzz he was getting early.
He was so good. There were some rumors out there, some people making up stuff that he was going to sit out the rest of the year. So there's that.
He still might.
He might, by injury, he might just do that. So anything on that, Derek? Or that's just
no, I think it would be tough to get a pick. Like I said, they really just don't have, like, your positive value players. Really, you're talking about Maxey and VJ. You have no interest in trading.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the, your other high-priced players, in Embiid and Paul George, the rest of the league has no interest in trading for. And Quentin, who's one of the few young and quality players, has a no trade clause. And the other guys are veterans on expiring contracts. I think it would be real tough to get a first-round pick out of this.
I was going to say, too, as we were talking about Grimes and the trade stuff prior to this question, I do think the NBA has become a very feast or famine trade league, too. I don't think you're going to see a lot of, like, Bojan Bogdanovic for a first-round pick at the deadline type of trades, unless teams are, like, really all in on their season. I think this is either you trade 3 or 4 first-round picks for a in their prime star level guy, or maybe sub-star level guy, or you're moving seconds. I find it hard to believe, outside of rare examples, that teams in this cap environment and this CBA are making first-round pick type trades anymore.
All right, let's
except for Joe Dumars. He's just, and credit to those guys for nailing that draft, or at least the Derek Queen part of it, because boy, if Derek Queen wasn't good, there would be a ton of pressure on those guys already.
All right,
shout out Derek Queen.
Let's get to the super chat from Davon, aka Schoolboy Beat, says, "Nah, Kyle, they traded Matisse for Nada as a 3rd seed." Matisse Thybulle.
I think he's talking about ducking the tax, and I don't know exactly where the nah comes from.
No, I don't know where the nah, Kyle. I'm saying I don't think
really
they're doing anything other than ducking the tax.
But I think he's just pointing out the Josh Harris's propensity to duck the tax by trading away.
I think if there's a trade that's going to happen, that's the most likely one. Especially because, like, Kelly was really good prior to, and I want to see Kelly play with all these guys. We did get a very small Kelly, quote unquote, update from Keith Pompey, who's on the road with the team right now, who it was him and Watford are further reintegrating into basketball activities. Further updates will be provided as appropriate. Well, thank you for that enlightening.
Problem is, their definition of as appropriate differs slightly from mine and most of the fan bases, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. So,
All right.
Remember when they spent a good deal of time trying to convince us that Jalen McDaniels was a real piece?
He did have a few games where I was like,
right away he did. Right
he
away.
At least is willing to shoot the ball,
right
which
away.
is an upgrade on Matisse. I was never a Matisse guy.
I like Daniels in Charlotte. It didn't work out here.
Hasn't worked out anywhere since.
Boy,
it has not.
A true, like, if you could just get the brother situation. He is a hell of a player.
Yes, he is. All right, quick overtime, everybody. Thanks on the television side. Head on over to allphly.com for the remainder of the show. We really appreciate you hanging out with us on this Mailbag Monday. Quick overtime as we get ready for our walk away, as you know. But let's do a quick news and notes for the show on this Monday. And that is Tyrese Maxey. The first fan returns are in, everybody, as far as the voting. Tyrese Maxey is second.
I was shocked by this, not because he doesn't
to see
deserve
how far
it.
down he was, not how high he was. Second.
It shows, number one, it's congratulations to Tyrese. It's certainly not a problem. No. It's not undeserved.
No.
Absolutely deserved. But when you look at Jalen Brunson plays for a team in New York below him, Cade Cunningham leading the number 1 team in the East, having a great season in his own right, in 4th place. And you see some of these other names, you're like, man, Tyrese has really put himself on the map with the general NBA audience, because that's what this is, right? It's not a million whatever votes just from Philadelphia. This is from basketball fans who are watching the Sixers, watching the league, and saying, this guy's really good, and I love watching him play. So, shout out to Tyrese for the incredible start to the season he's had. I'm glad he's getting this level of recognition. I'm glad he's potentially going to start in the All-Star game.
Awesome.
Is a hell of a thing when coming into the year, we just really had no idea what he or this team would look like.
No, to Devon's point, just based off of name recognition, I was expecting like 6th or 7th, which isn't saying that he's the 6th or 7th best player in the East. Just that's where I expected fans to come in at. Like being over Brunson stunned me, absolutely floored me.
Yep, absolutely. Joel, by the way, is 17th on the early fan voting with 102,017 there. And remember, everybody, it's no more positional. None. It's done. It's all just simply fan voting. So it's not front court, it's not back court. It's just voting for the players. Tyrese Maxey is 2nd behind Giannis and just in front of Jalen Brunson. As Kyle pointed out, that was surprising because when we were talking about all NBA, he's going to be an all-star, all that. But we got to wait for the coaches to do all that because the fan voting is New York. Jalen's going to get the nod. Kate Cunningham. Donovan Mitchell always gets really, really good votes when it comes to that. Who's going to take the votes that Jason Tatum doesn't have this year because he's not playing? And the same for Tyrese Halliburton. Well, Tyrese Maxey step up because he's getting some good returns. So I know a lot of Sixer fans are doing it, but it's great to see the national love there for him as well. And if you look at the numbers overall, he is 5th in total voting behind Luka, Jokic, Giannis. Actually, he's 4th, and Tyrese Maxey is 4th behind those 3 players. So that's great to see. Some national
ahead
stuff.
Of Shea, man.
Ahead of Shea.
Well, a few guys are like Brunson and Kate are both ahead of Shea too. Which,
crazy.
That's criminal.
Crazy. But it's crazy. It's crazy.
Not Maxey, but like, look, I want to just really underline. Tremendous honor for Tyrese to get this love from the fans and the general public, and is absolutely deserved. He has been incredible to start the year.
Our teammate from DLLS, Mark Stein, had in his Sundays conversations that he puts out, he writes in his Substack that he talked about trade possibilities for Anthony Davis to the Atlanta Hawks, where there's some interest. And then you had Tim McMahon from ESPN talking about Anthony Davis and Trae Young, and both of them talking about Trae Young. Could they be traded for each other, or could they keep them together? It's like a whole weird thing going on. But it's the fact that...
And then McMahon said, the Mavericks don't want Trae Young.
Right.
Honestly, can you imagine trading Luka Doncic under the guise of, we just don't believe in the defense.
and then
trading the guy who you got for Luka Doncic for Trae Young.
Yeah.
What a take apocalypse would flow.
By the way, they were
traded on draft night.
Draft night.
Yeah.
Right.
It would be an unbelievable moment. I know that Nico's out. It's just,
And one last thing, the Hawks are 0-6 since Trae Young came back into their lineup. Just want to point that out too.
And they lost the game to Chicago in regulation. What was it, 152 to 150 or something ridiculous?
Like 148.
We're talking about a team that was really good defensively for basically the entire time Trae was gone. And he comes back and it's like, well, time to give up.
And he's out tonight against the OKC Thunder. So is Jalen Johnson as they play the Thunder on the second night of a back-to-back. What do you think about so as we talk about the early trade rumors, those two names, we know the Trae Young thing has been going on for a while, but Anthony Davis, since he's been in Dallas, that one is a little bit surprising.
I mean, it's surprising, but like, you're not going anywhere. You've got to recoup some of those assets you gave up.
Recoup. See what you did there.
All of those draft picks that you opted not to take when you drafted Luka Doncic, you've now got to get them. Like he's got to be moved. Yeah. Him and Giannis are the two that like you're just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, the Giannis stuff is so funny. All the national guys are like, I talked to John Horst and he's like, I'm not trading him. And it's like, hey, John Horst, I'm not sure you're going to have a choice, buddy. Like, you haven't really had a choice for years. It's just been, you've been able to push the timeline back ever so gently by getting Dame Lillard, you sign Miles Turner, but like, the team isn't that good. Giannis is not staying there for the rest of this contract.
Yeah.
I know the contract is not that much longer at this point, but
Giannis is starting stuff, getting windmill dunks when the game is over.
I got to say, if somebody did that to Giannis, he would have given the most patronizing 2.5 minute, where I come from, this is disrespectful, and like I respect the game so much more and what it fucking means to me, and it's like, dude, I don't care if you want to be preachy, but if you're going to be preachy,
you've got to be better.
You can't go out there and throw down windmill dunks up like 8 points or whatever it was.
Game was
with
over.
7 seconds.
Everybody gave up, let him walk across court so they wouldn't get a backcourt violation for him to dribble it out. And he goes and windmill dunks and walks away from Vucevic and all the other guys on the Bulls that are, like you said, what he would do, what they would do.
That's the thing. Like, I'm okay with you want to play to the
man.
whistle. These are grown men, whatever. It's just that I know deep in my soul that if the exact thing happened to him, he would have had the single most annoying press conference in the history of professional sports.
Absolutely.
Where he's like, I'm trying to motivate my team. How is that motivating your team?
Yeah. He was like, if this is going to wake us up.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Come on, dude. Come on.
And I love Giannis. Giannis is an insane competitor, like great player, blah, blah, blah. But like, be honest with yourself, buddy. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. I remember, what was the playoff game where he basically clotheslined somebody when they were he punched them in the stomach. I think it was like a Goran Dragic or somebody.
And I'm not even saying he'd be wrong. It's not wrong to get pissed when the game's over. You don't need to show people up. Like, that's a real thing.
Yes.
So
guys, didn't he like push a ladder down?
Yeah,
one day it was like pushing.
There's a meme I have on my phone that's like, you just pushed over Giannis's ladder. I'll see if I can find it. We'll pull it up on another show this week. Right. But anyway, that was.
And the last one, non-basketball related, but TV related. Malcolm in the Middle, Life Still's Unfair, is back in April. A
show?
It's going to be a sequel series, April 10th. And that's going to be out there for Malcolm in the Middle. Looks like everybody's coming back. Everybody's back. And in the poster, there is a photo with Dewey in there. There was some talks about Dewey, who was doing some other things after acting when he was younger. And I think he went back to school, had no more interest in acting and all. But it looks like everybody's back. Were either of you, Ty, were you Malcolm
I definitely
in the Middle
watched
fans?
Malcolm in the Middle.
The best one my favorite one was the Bat episode.
Okay.
Where they got, you didn't remember that one? That was hilarious. And Hal screaming the way that he does is always that. So when he became who he became in Breaking Bad, I was like, that's not Hal.
That's the Malcolm in the Middle dad.
Right. That's not Hal.
That was actually, so one of my best friends, the way he introduced Breaking Bad to me was, so I know this is going to sound insane, but do you remember the dad from Malcolm in the Middle? He's a meth dealer.
Right.
And I was like,
no way.
Excuse me?
No way.
That goofball who, like, he was very funny. His comedic timing was great.
Yep.
And then Breaking Bad ends up being the all-time show that it was, and blah, blah, blah.
So I was never a Malcolm in the Middle guy.
Okay.
And I think, honestly, I probably prefer that because then when Breaking Bad came out, I didn't have to, like, get over that, like, first couple episodes. Like, that can't be the same guy, right? Because the only real association I had with Brian at that point was, like, a Seinfeld, like, cameo guy.
Yeah, he's the dentist,
he was
right?
Tim Watley.
There you go. I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah.
And even that was tough to get by. If I spent 6 years watching a episode where he's a dorky dad, that would have been even tougher.
Oh, man. Good
So
stuff.
here's my question. What level of continuity with the way Malcolm in the Middle ended is the show going to have? Because I don't know if you remember this. The finale of Malcolm in the Middle, Malcolm, I think, has some kind of spoilers for anybody who somehow didn't watch this show that is going to watch the sequel series. But his mom essentially tells Malcolm, like, you're going to be the president and there's no other acceptable outcome. So is the in-universe reality that Malcolm grew up and became the president, or is he just like a disappointing smart kid who flamed out of state college?
There's a trailer. And with the trailer, he looks like he's really successful and I think he has his own family. And he has separated himself from his dysfunctional, weird family that we knew he was, to your point.
But then they got to come back into the picture.
100%. They're all back in the show. And I can't wait to start to see what it looks like. Ty, you were Malcolm in the Middle?
You know, I really wasn't.
Okay.
I was not, like, I watched it a little bit here and there, but it wasn't like staple TV for me. And I probably, because of that, I have zero interest in this. I don't like reboots all that much to begin with.
Neither do I.
I have like zero interest in this.
I'm curious about this one. I am.
I'll always check them out. I'm mostly with you, Tyler, where I'm against the concept of reboots generally, but morbid curiosity will get
Now,
me.
since we're going back to a family from the early 2000s, is this a period piece?
No, it's not.
Was
Kyle,
this
you
an
missed
argument
that.
that I
You
missed?
missed a
Oh,
doozy.
God.
You would have been absolutely going insane.
I have
Your
to
face
tell
would
you,
have gotten red. You would have been yelling. What are you?
Well, that's a day that ends in Y. So.
I got to tell you guys, I'm so glad that you had that conversation because Devon and I had it on the radio for years, and I'm like, can somebody else get in this conversation?
I'm going to get caught up after the show because I don't want to get mad.
We can do this later.
But yeah, I liked Malcolm in the
So did
Middle,
I.
so I will check
did
this
I.
out for sure.
I would check it out. So Malcolm in the Middle, April 10th.
We also got
It's back.
another late super chat,
From
I
Davon.
believe, from Schoolboy Beats.
Yeah, these are the times when I wish the NBA was more like the NFL. I would have converted a good bit of Paul George and Embiid salary to a signing bonus.
I don't want to take anybody's guaranteed money. I would put it that way. I wouldn't want people taking my guaranteed money, so I wish football players had it a little bit better on that front.
It is a lot easier to undo mistakes with
Yes,
football.
it is.
But
I do think
There's
that's an
downsides.
underrated part of why the NFL is king is that there aren't these situations where your team could be awful and then the next year most of the bozos on the team are gone. You got all these high picks and you get the last place schedule, so you play easier teams. Like the NFL is set up in a way that you can turn things around so much. It's harder for malaise to set in a fan base the way it can in the NBA.
I do think it's probably more necessary in football, though, because like injuries can hit so quickly and you can lose a step so quickly, especially on some of the edge positions where it would be tough to, this guy's on a 6-year deal. Like, good luck.
All right, folks, that'll do it. We appreciate news and notes. Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate that. It's time for the world famous closing out of Mailbag Monday, the roll call.
Yeah, baby.
On a Monday. Let's get to it.
And this is our last 3 p.m. show of 2025, right?
Yes.
So
And I
nice
think-
and long one, of course.
I don't think are we here tomorrow in studio? Because this is an 8 o'clock game. I'll check.
I don't remember,
Yeah,
but
I'll check.
could be the last one in studio. I don't know. I
don't
look
know.
at the calendar
I have no- yeah.
to start the
I
day.
knew I had to
It's
come in
kinda
here
my-
today.
No,
I wake up in the morning and
looks
I
like we're
say,
here. Yeah.
All right, well, it's
like
going to be a
we're
late
here.
night in the PHLY
Lindsay's
offices
hanging with
tomorrow.
us. Yes.
Lucky Lindsay.
Lucky
Can't wait
Lindsay.
to hang out with her tomorrow night.
7:30 pregame.
Can't wait to hang out with you guys as well. Thank you for being here. First, I just have to say, can you please, on the way out, hit the thumbs up button on this video? Get those likes up on this video. I say it all the time. It means a lot more than you know. It means a lot to us personally. It means a lot to the overseers at YouTube who decide whether or not people are going to see this, hear this, or not. So please do that. It's also a thank you to Tyler who stepped in for Bree today. Bree getting some well-deserved time off at the
Indeed.
end of the year.
Indeed.
We do not vacation shame around here. At least I don't vacation shame after
Well, you better
taking
not.
half a month off. So obviously hope Bree is enjoying her time off right now to end the year. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to Larry K, to You Better Love Somebody.
Love somebody.
3-time SB Cole, Maple, Vince Pellegrini in the
Vinny.
house. Phil W, Kelly Oubre's #1 super fan. Got to be getting excited,
Oh,
Phil.
man, you're gonna
We're
get a
getting
nice
some positive
contract this
updates,
summer.
or at least we're getting updates. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
necessarily positive,
Yeah.
but thank you to Phil. Thank you to C. David, Rich P, The Court Jester,
Court Jester.
007, J-Dub 215, Keith B, NJK, Mom's grandchildren, of course. What's up to Mom?
Hello.
Thank you to Val. Thank you to Jess. Thank you to my girl Nona.
Hey, ladies.
Thank you to Yams, active as always. Thank you to Jack Reacher. Thank you to Schoolboy Beats for a couple of super chats
Thank you very much.
today. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you to Eugene Ross, Jazz Graham, Reardon with a mailbag question today. Thank you to Headfa, D Flyers, Brian Knight, Schoolboy
D
Beats
Knight.
again, Daniel Berry, and Markel Futz. And by the way, haven't said this in a while, Darkness checking in right at the end.
Turn the lights down for the New York Giants and the #1 pick. You beat the Raiders for no reason. Stupid.
The Giants turn into like the 85 Bears when they need the tank. It's really unbelievable. Thank you to Win Forever
No #1 pick for
as
you.
well. Thank you to all of you for being here on the way out. As I said, hit the thumbs up button on this video. It means a lot to us. Also, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live.
It's in the other studio.
Until next time.
Joe and peace.
Take care of one another. Stay safe. Goodbye.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.